This is Charles Dillon
and William Lee
with Anthem Mancave Talk, broadcasting live each week on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time from Fishbowl Studios. Log in to hear information, interviews, and inspiration for men.
So be sure to log in each week on Thursday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Catch Anthem Mancave Talk. Jump in.
Welcome back to Anthem Strong Families Man Cave Talk. We have some very interesting subjects to talk about today. We have an extremely interesting individual that's joining us today, and we are glad to have our, what did we call them last week, followers?
Yes, followers. They are
We're
followers.
glad to have our followers back with us again this week. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully you stick around for a minute because I think this information is going to be valuable to you. All right. So tell the people, Will, who do we have with us today?
Well, as always, I have to write it down because I want to do folk justice, all right? Because we do have folks that are interesting, accomplished, and know a little something about a little something, and we want to let you know who we have that you're listening to. So today, with a dedicated and transformative change and unwavering service, Pastor Christopher Pipkin stands as a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of redemption. As the church mobilization manager for Texas and Oklahoma at Prison Fellowship Ministries, he spearheads vital initiatives like Angel Tree, Second Chance Month, mobilizing faith communities to support the incarcerated and their families. A certified prison fellowship mentor, he has personally guided numerous men through challenging post-release transitions. His profound impact on the community reentry and aftercare was recognized by the NAACP Garland branch in 2005. Furthermore, as the founder of the Oasis on the Mount Christian Healing Center, Pastor Christopher provides critical support to the formerly incarcerated and disenfranchised. His influence extends to significant platforms. He's contributed to key events, including the largest prison reentry conference in 2005 and 2006, the first Black-Brown Summit, and the Wall Builders 2007 Pro-Family Legislators Conference. Beyond his extensive ministry and advocacy, Pastor Christopher is a devoted father to 2 adult daughters and a loving grandfather. His journey, marked by personal setbacks, transformed into powerful purpose, began in Dallas, Texas, where his early spiritual foundation laid groundwork for a life now characterized by significant accomplishments in ministry and advocacy. Please welcome Pastor Christopher Pipkin.
Amen. Thank you. Listen, I don't think I have enough money to give y'all for that one. Listen, y'all did way too much. But I'm delighted to be here. It's always a pleasure to hang out with like-minded men that are passionate about spiritual growth and the growth in the community.
Yep. Well, we're glad to have you. When this topic came up, you were top of mind for me. There were some people on the list, but you were top of mind for me, and God made that possible for you to be here today. So thank you very much. So let's just jump in. What's the topic today?
Faith, values, and family.
And subtopic is?
How to instill as a father those faith, that values in my family in this day and age.
All right. So we're gonna jump right in on that. All right. So real quick, just give us a quick overview of who Christopher Pipkin is and how did you get to this point?
Christopher Pipkin is a broken man, a broken man with a desire to be better. One of the most profound things that I learned was actually from you. And Charles said to me years ago, he said, Chris, I can't be all that I can be until you're all that you can be. And from there, I worked hard to be a better me so that those coming behind me can be a better them, because he said this, when they see you, they see me. And until we change the image of what others believe about themselves, it's not going to change the image of what others see when they see them.
Okay, so apparently there's a connection here, right? So why don't you explain a little bit, like the connection here with Mr. Charles Dillon, because y'all are just so comfortable up in here today. So maybe I should be interviewing both of y'all, right? Just
I have to say this. Charles was my first supervisor when I got into ministry. And I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into, but I knew that I wanted to live a different life. My dad was an outlaw, and I was a daddy's boy. I wanted to be like my dad. I wanted to be like my dad. He was my hero, and didn't do nothing for us, but I wanted to be like him. So and it gives me this opportunity to tell people and to tell mothers, regardless of what you think about him, he's still their dad.
He's still dad.
He's still their dad. And when I met Charles, it was just something different about him. He knew my background. There was a time when I was on the FBI's most wanted list, and our executive director at that time was the supervisor for the Violent Gang Task Force for the FBI in Dallas. And so Charles already had history and had my history. But one of the most profound things is, in order for me to be employed with this ministry, everybody took a pay cut.
wow.
Everybody took a pay cut. And so I said, this guy took a pay cut to bring me on board. And so it changed what I thought about people. Because I just thought everybody was out for themselves. What's in it for me? And he took time to sow into me and to help me grow as a man spiritually and emotionally, because I was emotionally distraught. And he just kind of helped me see some things. And so he was my supervisor, but he became my friend and my counselor. And so, and this was, back in 2006, 2000?
Yeah. Almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
About 20 almost, yeah.
And so we've just grown into that relationship, and it continues to grow.
Yeah. And I've seen him grow, man, but there was never any question about the expanse and the experience that he could bring to the effort. Never a second thought about that, right? And the passion was always there. The commitment was always there. One of the things I always recognize about Chris is, if character, and we know character is our currency, he's a rich brother. He's a rich brother because he's filled with what? Character. And it's worth every dime that we can think of. So to see his impact in the community, what he's grown from the ground up, right? What he's grown from the ground up, and where it is today is a testament to his fortitude, his commitment, his willingness to be a man among men, and to also be transparent about his experience, in order that people that are without hope can see hope.
Yeah.
And seeing that hope, then they can reach for their delayed aspirations as well. So that's the Christopher Emil Pipkin that I know. Yeah.
The whole name.
The whole name.
The whole name.
Sometimes when they call our whole name, we got to be careful. But we all right here today,
We
right?
all
So
right.
you say your whole name.
That's right.
But again, I guess, that's really cool. Like the relationship is there. So you seeing him there, you see him now. And so because we're talking about instilling things into the family, right? Especially faith and values. And so as a father yourself, right, and one of the things I thought about, right, was because of the individuals that you work with, right? How can I say it? Them seeing what they see, operating like they operate, how do you help them be able to instill? Because see, right now, because of your background, because of where you are today, to be able to instill the values and faith in your family, sometimes they would say it's a little bit easy. Well, you the pastor, you could do that. How do you be able to tell somebody who's not there how to do that with to instill those values in their family today?
You know, I think the first thing is gaining trust. We have to gain trust, and the way we gain trust is I'll share something about me that that's marginalized, and that'll open a door for them to receive what it is that you have to say. And that was kind of one of the things that with Charles, because he invited me into his space. And when we can invite people into our space and share that transparency, it removes all of the fear of being judged. And so I get an opportunity to just, like I said, we started out talking about being the hope. Being the hope. When I can talk about my life prior to and how my life was centered around me. And I thank God because I got a chance to parent a second time, because what I did with my daughters was totally different than what I did with the sons. So I have my ex-wife had 2 boys, and I got a chance, and so I saw an opportunity to do it differently.
Okay.
And because of that, I was able to, grasp life from a different perspective. My worldview changed. Growing up, I never, ever, ever remember a time that I spent quality time with my parents after the divorce. We didn't go on vacations. We didn't sit at the table and have dinner together. They didn't ask me about my schooling, football games and track meets and things. My dad didn't show up. And then I get an opportunity to tell the men, hey, be a part of their lives. You know, it's not about what you want to do. It's about, what legacy are you going to leave? What story are they going to be able to tell about you when you're gone? And so that's been my focus on changing the thought process. I can't change their hearts, but the thought process.
Okay.
So when we think about faith and spirituality and morals and the moral compass that you have, what reshaped that for you? Or was it always there and you walked away from it? But how did it become clearer, more concise, more specific for you?
It was there. The foundation was there. And a part of my brother and I's childhood is we bounced around from family to family. My parents divorced early. Some things took place. My dad was physically abusive. My brother and I were present when my mom shot my dad, and so we lived with different relatives, but we didn't get a chance to experience family.
Okay.
And but the foundation for a good moral compass was there, and we just kind of raised each other, right? And as we got older, believe it or not, I'm 63. I know I don't look it.
Would have never guessed it.
But we're in our 60s, and we're just now starting to talk about our childhood.
Wow.
We're just and we have different memories, right, of what took place and what transpired. So the foundation was there, and now so it makes that passage of scripture, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he won't depart from it. And so now it's all coming back to how do we help this brokenness become whole? And we don't know what the brokenness is in in somebody else's life, and to just be that example to say, hey, listen, here I am, and I don't, we hear a lot of people say that, if not for God, there go I. It's like, no, there I am, And when we start talking about them and they, I was them and they, And so now we get an opportunity to have some real candid conversations about addressing the brokenness.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, because it's because like last week when we talked about the wellness and mental health, and he talked about going back
Yeah.
to see the patterns and the different things so that you could change some things in the future. And like you said, you change from where with the sons to now the daughters, and I get this second chance, which is amazing. And again, but taking advantage of that second chance.
Yes.
You know, and so yeah, that's profound right there for real. So when the daughters were first born and everything else, like, and with all that we got going on in the world now, because everybody's like my truth, my belief, my everything. How do you combat that? And even now, here's the other thing. Sometimes because they know who we are too, right? And so it's like, okay, well, you said that, but how do we make sure, or how do we make sure that how can I say it, sticks or lands?
One of the things that I believe in is it's not my job to change anybody. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's not my job to correct your behavior. It's not, and we want to address somebody's behavior, man, and so we take this accountability to a level that it wasn't even intended to be at, because we want to correct it.
You
right?
want to see it.
Man,
you want to see the change.
Hey, you ain't moving. You ain't doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? And so my youngest daughter, Christina, if you see us together, people are like, so man, you're in love with your dad. And she said, yeah, but I haven't always been. Mm-hmm. I haven't always been. Mm-hmm. And they got an opportunity to see and experience a different dad. Mm-hmm. And right today, I mean, we have the best relationship. When I got out of prison, did I mention that?
No, you just did.
But when I got out of prison in 2001, after the second trip, mm-hmm. My daughter, she looked at me, she says, Dad, I wanted to be mad at you, but you haven't given me a reason. Mm-hmm. And that relationship has grown. But here's the deal. When their mother and I divorced, for about 2 years, they didn't talk to me, my brother, my mother, nobody that was at the wedding. Mm. Nobody was at the wedding. So remarried, and she was like, your daughters are mean to you. They don't treat you right. They don't come see you. They don't call you. They don't do this. I said, but it's my responsibility to do what I'm supposed to do. I can't be responsible for what they do and don't do. Mm-hmm. And that's where we get caught up, because everybody's looking for reciprocity. Mm-hmm. And it's not about reciprocity. It's about you doing what you're supposed to do, and you stay faithful to that, and you stay committed to that. And that's a hard thing for people to grasp, because it's like, well, what about me? When is it my turn? Mm-hmm. It's not about you, and it's not about your turn. It's about the seed that you're sowing.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like what you're saying is, I heard you said you got a second chance with your sons to be the step-up parent. You said that your daughter said, I tried to be angry with you. So when we're talking about instilling faith and spirituality and morality into your family, are you saying you missed that the first time?
I missed it. I did with my daughters what my parents did with me. Mm-hmm. I didn't show up, I just provided. I didn't go to one PTA meeting, mm-hmm. not one band recital, not one soccer game. I didn't do the things that my parents didn't do. Mm-hmm. And so when they saw what I was doing with Casey and Chaz, oh man, they were livid. Mm-hmm. They were livid. It's like, what you doing? What? You on your way where? For a football game. What? You didn't go to our football, mm-hmm. And so now they're like, you know what? I see something different, and I got a chance to with them, and Charles, Chaz, I was at every doctor's appointment, every football game, every mm-hmm. band rehearsal, all of those things, and it was an impact for their lives, and even greater impact for my life, because I didn't see family growing up. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it. I saw it from a distance, and I didn't know how great it could be. And I would see Charles interact with with Kevin, and I'm like, man, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. And I'm like, Charles, man, Kevin is, man, he said, he's still a boy. I'm like, man, he's such a great kid, man. He's awesome, and you're an awesome dad. He said, we still have our challenges.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much about making sure he did it right, but it was about him being patient with him when he didn't get it right. And that's what taught me, being patient with people and giving people space to grow and to make mistakes.
That's the transparency I was telling you
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
You know, the whole idea of what you just said. I missed it from the beginning, and I missed it because I didn't know what it looked like. I knew there was a longing for it. I had a sense of it, but I wasn't living it. And as a result of that, it created some distance between me and my family. But that's also the fuel that you used to say, now that I got another chance, I'm getting it right. I'm walking all over it.
We lived with my grandparents. And my grandfather was the president of the deacon board. And I know you young folks are not going to understand this terminology, but he was mean as a polecat.
Yeah.
My grandfather was mean. He was just like, and it's like, if that's what being a Christian is, I don't want no parts of that. And we would go to church, and he was loving on everybody and was mean to us. And it was like, I don't want that. But then can I tell you this story?
Yes.
So I was in prison, and they had this thing called Angel Tree, and it was to get your kid a gift at Christmas through the church, and I signed up for it, and the church delivered a gift to my daughters, and I was in prison. I didn't know if it was real or not, and they came to visit. And they were just all over me. And I was like, I ain't never had this kind of attention from them, And it was good. And because I wanted that same attention from them, I started hanging around the chapel. And, they say if you keep driving by the barbershop,
Go get a haircut.
you go get a haircut. That's how I got saved. Trying to be slick.
See?
Trying to
be slick. And and I heard Paul said that which apprehended me, I apprehended. So that when it grabbed me, I grabbed it, and that's how I got saved. But I don't even know where I was going with that. that's how I got saved, and it's been full steam ahead ever since then.
Yeah.
I like what you had said earlier. One, it was like learning patience. Then it's about proximity and relationship, and even being able to see, like being close enough to a man, Charles, to see what he was doing, to say, I didn't have it over here, but I do see that thing right there that I'm liking. And like you said, I got them things and I got that attention. Wait a minute, let me get close to it. And then you got so close, right? It was like, come on up in here, right?
Yeah.
And so I guess, like when I look at it, I'm always trying to, like Charles and I, we always laugh, like we be seeing stuff and connecting things, right? And I'm like, the patience, like you said, for people to be able to take time, give people time to respond or accept and experience what you're doing. And then also being close enough, to be able for them to experience what you have, what I'm saying, the time and the proximity. And like you said, you the second time around, there was enough patience, to give and just learning. And so I'm sitting here soaking it up because y'all my guests today. Charles ain't even the host today. Y'all guests. We learn. Y'all getting all of this? Patience, proximity, responsibility, perception. We're going to do everything there. But that's real good. That's just that.
So, Chris, tell me, when you think about fathers and the role of fathers, how important is it for fathers to do what we were talking about, instilling the idea of faith, value, morality in their family?
It's more than just essential.
Okay.
You know, we talk about the essence of it, you know, being essential. It's more than that because, you know, men are born warriors and we're conquerors. And I'm sorry, moms, but y'all can't teach your boys to be warriors and conquerors because you're nurturers. And in manhood, there is no participation awards. You don't get to get a participation award because you carry the male anatomy. And so what I've learned is we have taught boys to suppress that energy. And when you get a man to say, hey man, go out there and fall and break your leg and oh my God, no, you have to. Because that's how we learn how to play football. We learn how to fall. We learn how to fall. And so the man is the leader. And what we see the men do is what we're going to do because I want that same energy. And when we're talking about spirituality, if the man isn't encouraging spirituality, guess what happens? We miss it. One of the things that God said to me is, he said, Chris, you're a coward. You're a coward. Because I had misplaced the identity of manhood. And what I didn't want is for my, and this is what he said. He said, you're a coward because you're afraid to let people see how you love me. And I didn't want my family to see me worship because I thought it was a weak thing for them to see that. And so I penalized them because I was suppressing what I thought was softness, right? And in essence, now that I see it, it's when we can lead our children in spirituality, because they're going to follow. Mamas can encourage, but they will follow dad. I'm telling you, regardless of what anybody thinks, they're going to follow dad, even when they're mad at dad, even when they're angry at dad, because that anger is driven by what? Hurt. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to see him. No, you're hurt because he didn't give you what you needed when you needed it. And so I'm 1,000% pro man, pro dad, because they set the standard, they set the trajectory, and we have been misled in life, because you'll ask the question, what is a man?
So you know what? Got some music for you, Charles. So we're going to answer that question when we come back from break.
We at the break already?
We at the break. See, man, when it get good, right? That was a good one right there. Because when we come back, we're going to answer that question, right? We're going to give you something to think about. What is a man?
Wait for this bridge music now. Wait for this bridge music.
So we're back. We had a little time here. We were able to talk a little bit and listen to a little bit of music, and we left with the question, and we're going to pick it up where we left off. Charles,
All right, so I can't remember what the question is now.
what is a man?
What is the man?
Yes.
So, we have all these attributes, and we attach it to manhood. He's a hard worker. He's a provider. Takes care of his kids, and good husband. And so all of those are contingent upon somebody else. So what if he don't have kids? Is he still a man? What if he doesn't have a wife? What if he doesn't have a job? The man, God gave Adam vision. Vision. And so when we start talking about the dad, if the dad has set vision for his family, one of the things, and Charles helped me with this. He says, Chris, you got to have a vision statement for your personal life, for your professional life, and for your family life. And so when we start talking about the man, it's not about what he does. It's not about his performance. It's about the vision. And so when he can cast a vision, then the family will follow.
Yeah, when you think about that, it goes to the curriculum that we use. We talk about the legacy, all right? Fathers leaving a legacy for their children. And a lot of times that doesn't happen out of pure joy or excitement. There's some reluctancy that you can experience with family when you're trying to set that thing. But it's funny the way you said it earlier. When you do it and you keep doing it and you stay with it, even though they walk away from it, guess what? They find their way back to it.
Can I add another
Because
P
it's
word?
the foundation.
Can I add another P word?
Go ahead.
Persistence.
Persistence. You gotta be persistent, even in the face of the anger and the disdain that you can see sometimes as dad when that's happening. You still gotta stand there. You still gotta stand there. Quick story with me. My wife was wanting to do something. I said, "We can't do that. We can't do that, right?" And I could feel the hair standing up on the back of her neck, right? And I turned and I walked upstairs, and I could feel the stare that she was giving me, right? But after she got past the emotional part, she said to herself, "Lord, I asked you for a man, and you gave me one." She began to appreciate that process. So the appreciation doesn't come first. Right. That's the last thing that comes. But it comes. It comes. So when you think about this whole idea of morality again, paint the picture of what it looked like to you. What's moral value? What does that look like to you?
As hard as it sounds, is putting other people first. Just considering others before you consider yourself, and all that other stuff will fall into place. When you make it about other people, it removes who you are. Because here's the challenge. People base their place in life according to what somebody else has already said. Okay, so Charles drives a BMW. You drive a Lincoln, but I got an old Volkswagen, right? And it's like, man, why can't I have that? And so now I'm upset because I wasn't afforded the opportunity to have the BMW or the Volkswagen. And so now I'm mad at my parents because they didn't get me out of this low income area. It was their fault.
Yeah.
It was their fault that I have what I have. And so if that's the case, it's funny. I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. So Big Mama got all the respect. You love Big Mama to death. And Big Mama can't do no wrong. But Big Mama getting bootleg cable. Is that right? Man, shoes. Yeah, that's Big Mama. She getting bootleg cable. I said, that's stealing. See, this is where the morality. See, I didn't know it was stealing until I knew it was stealing. You see what I'm saying? And so when we started talking about morality,
They were calling it something else.
you know,
They call
shoes. You know, Pookie got the job down there at Walmart. You know, and she on the cash register. I'm going to Pookie's line. You know, but our morality was shaped in those type of experiences, and then when we come to know the truth, we're like,
Oh, there it is.
there it is. I missed it. Hey, baby, I missed it. Don't be going through the drive-through asking Lele for an extra order of fries. You know why? This is what I'm talking about, considering other people. Because you putting Lele's job on the line. Because Lele now is being watched because she slid that extra order of fries in there. So when we start considering others and making others a priority, you know, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to do this. I'm considering you. You're valuable to me. And when we do that, it changes who we are and how we see life. And it changes our worldview.
Okay, there you go. Point of view, perception again, right? Because how you see that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. Because I just got the hookup. What's the problem with that? No, you just put Lele in jeopardy. Now she ain't got no job, and now she looking at you, and she's not even thinking that you did it wrong.
Right.
Look, and guess what we're going to say? Man, I don't know why she was stealing them folks' stuff.
You recipient.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have did it. You knew they was looking at you.
Yeah. So in all of that, it's important for our children to see it and hear it before they engage it and encounter it, because they'll know how to respond when they get to those places. Tell me about something. Do you have an experience with either of your kids at any point in time where your new moral expectation, you saw evidence of that in their life and what they've done?
Oh, man. So, man, both of them are phenomenal. My girls are phenomenal, and it wasn't. And I tell my ex-wife, you did a great job. He said, no, Dad, you. I said, no, you can't get me. I ain't had nothing to do with all that. But you know, and it is like, Dad, you were a part of that. But Christina, educator with the Spelman, taught in the classroom, and today she's starting a micro school in Houston. Wow. About, I want to say probably about 5 years ago, they came to Dallas, spent Thanksgiving with me, and we were outside on the back porch. She says, Dad, I want to start a ministry. And what does Dad say? Yeah, baby, I got you. She says, Dad, you ain't even asked me what I want to do. I said, I don't care what it is. I got you. She said, I want to start a ministry for children who's got an incarcerated parent. She says, Dad, because you don't know how deep it goes and how long it lasts. And so now her drive is to make an impact in the lives of those who have been impacted by incarceration, because she see, that's my drive. That's my drive. You know, the mothers, and you know, I have to take responsibility in the demise in my second marriage, because my passion, and that passion is also my devastation, because I hate to see mothers struggle, and I will help. And me helping is like, oh, you know, you helping them, y'all must have something going on. No, nobody helped my mother. And so today, Christina is like, even to the point that she quit her job. because this is so much of a passion. And so, my life today has impacted and influenced what it is that she wants to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's more than, I'm a proponent of a statement that said, learn, unlearn, and relearn.
Yeah.
That's more than that. That is the essence of what that's saying at this point in time. There was something that you learned, but when you discovered it's not going to get you to where you want to be, now you have to unlearn that, right? And in unlearning that, you have to relearn some other things as part of that. And now you're seeing the benefit of that whole process being lived out in relationship with your children.
Yeah, you got to unlearn it. Because when I'm walking in the 7-Eleven and I look over in that car and I see that purse, it's like, Chris, leave that woman purse alone. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, because that, and I think that a part of that I don't believe in and I could be definitely wrong. This is just criticism. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in mistakes. My grandmother came to visit me, and so she says, well, baby, everybody make mistakes. And it was at that moment that I started taking responsibility for my actions. And I said, no, Big Mama, I didn't make a mistake. I was in prison. I said, Big Mama, I didn't make a mistake. Mm-hmm. When I left home with an ounce of cocaine and a pistol. Mm-hmm. I left home to go break the law. Mm-hmm. So me going to jail was not a mistake. And I think that as long as we consider our bad choices and our bad decisions mistakes, then we don't do anything to change it. Mm-hmm. So we don't unlearn anything. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's no reason to unlearn it because my crutch now is, everybody make mistakes. Mm-hmm. No, take responsibility because here's the thing that nobody wants. Nobody wants to be judged or criticized for their decision. Nobody. And so anything that makes us look, I guess, dumb.
Less than,
stupid, not ignorant, ignorant.
Yeah.
if it makes us look ignorant, we don't want it. Mm-hmm. And so if I know that me continuing this behavior puts me in that category, I need to do something different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you think about the presence and the impact and the engagement with social media now, and the children that you're trying to raise and the impact on that, how do you maintain? How do you help your children understand the importance of avoiding some of that stuff and not interpreting that, as Will said earlier, as their truth, their reality? What can parents do to offset that, to help their children combat that?
The first thing is first monitoring what they're watching, and then setting a time for screen time. Mm-hmm. Setting a time for screen time. It's and we're in this place now that parents want to be friends with the kids. My mama told me, she said, baby, I was an outlaw. Been in prison twice. From 1978 to 2001, I was in and out of somebody's jail or prison. My mama never heard me cuss. Never. Mm. Now, when somebody got out of line, she would call me, hey, Chris, they're up here tripping. You better come sit by them. And even in that, she didn't hear me cuss. Why? Mm-hmm. She wasn't my pal. Mm-hmm. She was still my mama. Mm-hmm. In church, she sat behind me. Baby, be quiet. Okay, mama. Baby, I said be quiet. Okay, mama. Mm-hmm. Chris, shut up. Look, and Charles knew her. Oh, man, phenomenal. She, guess what she said? She said, you my pastor, but I'm your mama. And you know what I said? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. But But we don't have that today because they're too busy trying to be all right with them. And my mama didn't co-sign for my behavior. You know, baby, you're going to the penitentiary. I'll come see you, but I ain't sending you no money. because there were standards. And we have allowed social media to babysit our kids. And when we can say, hey, listen, your screen time is from this time to this time, and this is the only thing that you can watch. And I think that will help because, you know, even when we think about it, our influence was greater away from home because we were at school six hours, and then we had football practice. So, you know, there's 8 hours that were away from our parents because our parents were at work. And so when we got home, they gave us their leftovers. And so how much of that, and so that's why we needed that village. That's why we needed that community to help raise. And we don't have that because the kids are inside the house and they're doing that. And I'll tip my hat to my daughter and to my son. Casey, 3 kids, and they have to be involved in something. Kobe is running track. Kennedy is cheerleader. CJ, Casey Jr. is playing football. Callie, dancing, ballet, the whole. You gonna do something.
Constructive.
And what happens is in that they're not just saying, "Hey, baby, you did good," and they didn't do good. No, hey, hold up, player. And so when the family involvement, and especially if the dad is leading the charge, it makes a big difference because everybody wants to hear from dad, "You did good, baby. You did good."
That's real great. And you know, like Charles, I guess so. For as we end today, because guess what, our time is running, and that was great. Where even the end on that, like it's almost it brings everything to the end, right? Where this is how you get, this is instilling because his grandchildren are reaping the benefit of what he put together way back here, and he continues to be there. Like I said, the proximity, the patience, and everything else that goes along with the perseverance, the persistence, and this is where we are today as we end this. Right, it's ending well. It's ending well. Ending well. That's legacy. That's the instilling. So Charles, if you would, you can go ahead and like you talked about social media. So why don't you go ahead and just let everybody know who we are, so we can have them come back again.
Again, we want you to always be here with us on Thursdays. Anthem Strong Families Man Cave Talk. You can go to our website, www.anthemstrongfamilies.org, and look at some of the previous shows. We are on X. We're on Facebook.
Instagram.
We're on Instagram. And you can also give us a call. We are having conversations about those matters that are important to family. We're all about strengthening family, educating, equipping, and empowering men, women, and youth to be the champion for their life, their marriage, their children, and their family. And if we can continue to do that with your help, we can avoid some of the pitfalls that we may have experienced as families and parents ourselves, and see our world become better. So thank you for joining us. And our engineer, he's an integral part of this show. Yes. So we want you to take us out with a little something. Chris, thank you, brother. I appreciate
Oh,
you.
thank you.
For real.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Pastor.
DJ, kick it!